Uncensored, no holds barred talk. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is the Global Reality Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live edition of the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. This is Tuesday, March the 29th, 2011. We're into March the 30th now on Wednesday, so glad you could be with us here tonight for another late-night Moonbat edition of the broadcast. And we are going to be getting into some news again tonight, same as it was yesterday. Not a whole lot of news, not a big amount of it, which is okay. We'll get through the stories we need to get into tonight, and then they always tend to lead us in other places anyway. So we'll get into all that tonight here for you on the broadcast. We'd love to have your emails as well tonight. I've been getting some great emails lately from listeners, and we spent quite a bit of time last night on those. I want to go through my stack here tonight as well and see if I have any that I need to cover. I don't know if I do or not. I haven't gotten some emails, but I don't think there's anything. A lot of them are just comments and stuff. Not really anything I need to cover on air, but we shall see. Anyway, love to hear from you. globalrealityshow@gmail.com. That's globalrealityshow@gmail.com. And if you'd like to have a comment or a question answered here tonight on the show, that's email address you send it to, globalrealityshow@gmail.com. That's globalrealityshow@gmail.com, and send them over there, and I will do my best to answer them for you here tonight. We also will be continuing to read from William Bramley's book, The Gods of Eden, and tonight we're going to start chapter 12, which is entitled The Jesus Ministry. So this should be a very interesting chapter. Should be getting into all the things pertaining to Jesus the Christ and extraterrestrials and all that kind of shit. So it should be an interesting read, and we'll get into that here tonight for you on the broadcast as well. If you'd like to join in the chat room, there are chatters in there tonight. Dun, 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 dun. Yes, there are indeed chatters in the chat room tonight, and you can come on in there and hang out with the chatters in the chat room tonight. I need to do something real quick while I'm here. I need to put a thing out that says Moonbattiness abounds. So how are you guys doing tonight? Everybody feeling all right? Everybody up and awake? Ready for some Moonbattiness tonight? So what do you guys think about this? What are your stories? What are your feelings on this whole Japan thing? It's a weird situation. Because they've almost got everybody afraid to believe anything. You know what I mean? And I told you this was going to happen. This is why I haven't covered this a lot, even though it's important. But I told you this was going to happen as soon as this occurred, and indeed that is what is continued to unfold before us. Is that they've created so much cognitive dissonance and so much confusion that people don't know whether to be scared or to, just ignore it. People are confused, but they're being told, all these things, where they don't even know what to believe. I mean, you've got one end of people that are in the truth movement, patriot movement, that are fear mongering this stuff and using it as an opportunity to sell iodine pills and all this stuff. But at the same time, you also have the United States government saying, oh, it's safe and we're not going to feel any effects of this. I got to tell you, man, the way I've been coughing this week is very unusual. And, I don't know. I'm really... Anytime the government tells me not to worry about something, that makes me want to worry about it. And as we've known for years and years and years, and as I've told you for almost 4 years now, that we were probably going to see a situation. I said the same thing about the swine flu in 2009. I'm saying the same thing about this now, is that we're going to eventually get into a situation where there is going to be a threat. There is going to be something we need to be concerned about. But because people like Alex Jones and others have cried wolf so many times, we're going to inherently think it's just a part of their fear-mongering operation because this is what they've done for the longest time. So, I don't know. I don't know what to believe. I'm very concerned with it. I'll tell you that. Just because I know what these guys' plans are. I know what their depopulation agenda is, and what a perfect way to depopulate a lot of Americans than to, use your fear-mongering element to make a certain part of the population think that it's all fear-mongering, then use your official government level to say, oh, there's no problems whatsoever, none at all. And then what do you get? What are you going to get from the average person out of both of those things? Your average person's just going to go, fuck it. I'm not even going to worry about it. That batshit crazy motherfucker Alex Jones, who, likes checking other men's hemorrhoids for them or their fucking hernias for them and shit, sticking their hands up to folks, Charlie's clean, folks. I know for a fact. Okay, I stuck my hand up his ass, folks. I checked his hernia, and he's clean, folks. He's 100% clean. I stuck it all the way up in there, folks. I damn near touched his eyeballs, folks, okay? That's the truth. That's why you tune in, right? So you got people who've been seeing Alex Jones everywhere for the past, month with the whole Charlie Sheen debacle. Then you hear him fear-mongering, say, oh, it's bad, it's bad. So your average person sees that and goes, oh, that ass clown Alex Jones is saying, we should be scared. I'm not going to listen to him. And then the government says, oh, it's not a problem. So the government says, oh, don't worry about it. And Alex Jones says, buy iodine pills. Your average person is just going to go, oh, fuck it. I'm not even going to worry about anything. I think that's dangerous. I think that very well could be a trap. So, like I've said before, I'll tell you something interesting. I had ordered some, I told you guys I had ordered some of those silver iodide pills. It's weird. I'd ordered them right before there was any, but I ordered them like a few days before there was any sort of talk about the earthquake or anything of that happening. And, they were in stock when I ordered them, and I ordered them before the earthquake happened. I meant to tell you guys this. And they said that they're out of stock and I won't be receiving them. Even though they were in stock before the earthquake happened, I didn't even know. I just had on a whim decided to buy some because I remember people saying they were a good thing to have in your bug out packs and I didn't have any of those. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to order some. So a couple of days before the earthquake happened, I had purchased them off of Amazon.com, and I was laughing because they said life extension on them, It made me think of Ray Kurzweil. But, and they sent me a thing like yesterday saying that I wasn't going to receive them and all this stuff. And I thought, well, that's a bit odd because they were in stock and they were there when I made my purchase. So there being a run on them 4 or 5 days after I had made my purchase shouldn't affect me getting them or not, right? Because they were in stock then, right? So what would you deduct from that? I deduct from that they knew ahead of time this was going to happen, and that those pills were already not available and not there at the point in which I placed my order. They never gave me a refund because they never officially charged my card, even though it went through and all that stuff. I don't know. But either way, that's not the point. The point is they never took it out of my account, so there was no reason for a refund. So that's not important. The important thing is here, the thing we should be focusing on is the fact that I ordered these things before the event happened. And even though it said they were in stock before the event happened, and I should have received them within just a few days, they said, no, we don't have them. They're out of stock. So that tells me right there that they knew ahead of time this was going to happen. That's my proof. Again, like I've talked about, I can speculate about things. I can draw my own conclusions from things. But, when you experience something for yourself, it's totally different. And it's kind of undeniable. And so there's just no doubt in my mind that they knew ahead of time this was going to happen. This was a planned event. It was a staged event. They did it this way by design, on purpose. And I don't know. I don't know, folks. I really don't know what to tell you. I'm not going to get up here and tell you to go, red alert, buy pills and everything. But I'm also not going to tell you to just not be concerned with this. Because anytime the government tells you don't worry about it, nothing is wrong, we have this, we got this, don't worry about it, that should be your first concern and your first signal for alarm to be maybe having some concern about it. Either way, though, let's see what kind of news we got here tonight to get into. Traces of Japan radioactivity in U.S. rain. Traces of radioactivity from damaged nuclear power facilities in Japan have been detected in rainwater in the northeast United States, but pose no health risks, officials say. The Environmental Protection Agency is an update in an update on Sunday said it had received reports of elevated levels of radiation in recent precipitation events in Massachusetts and Pennsylvania, and it was reviewing this data. The EPA has been monitoring radiation from the Fukushima nuclear plant in Japan and had previously detected very low levels of radioactive material. Well, I mean, my God, they found 6 or 8 water wells in Houston, Texas last year that tested positive for radioactivity. I mean, there's radioactivity all over the place. It's already in our water and in our food and everything over here. Now, I'm not sitting here trying to say that we shouldn't be concerned about this and we shouldn't be at least, trying to take steps and precautions to keep ourselves safe from it. But at the same time, it's going to drift around the world. This stuff is going to show up in trace amounts in just about anything and everywhere all over the world for quite some time. But, again, how come people weren't screaming and yelling about 6 public water wells in the city of Houston last year? I mean, it was, Houston Chronicle and that was it, but it wasn't on the 6 o'clock news or, not a big issue. I mean, that's, you've got, Houston is a gigantic, sprawling fucking place, man. There are millions and millions of people there. It's huge. So I would think that would be quite a big story, but now, it's found in trace elements in the water or in the rain here in America, and now this is cause for alarm. I mean, we tested nuclear weapons out in the desert in the middle of this country, prior to the end of World War II. You don't think that had some radioactive fault? You don't think all of the depleted uranium shells we've used around the world? I mean, 1 pound of plutonium or something like that is enough to kill every living thing on this planet. And the United States government now currently has up to close to 100 pounds of this stuff in orbit around our Earth right now. We've got, toxic waste landfills and toxic waste buried under the earth and toxic waste sealed in canisters and dumped into the oceans. I mean, if we were fucked from radiation and all this other stuff, we were fucked long before this Japanese thing. I still think there's something bigger and deeper to this. Something they're trying to keep us distracted with the outcome of it and the after effects of it, so we don't really dig deeper and try to find out what's really going on. I don't know. That's just my intuition. That's how I see it. You guys hear about this? Scientists hope that nanotechnology used in a microchips evolves, it could lead to electronics which don't require batteries or mains power. We've talked about this before. They've now figured out ways to harness the bioetheric energy. Hailed as a milestone, it can use tiny movements such as the pinch of a finger to generate power. The team presenting their findings at the National Meeting and Exposition of the American Chemical Society have used it to power LCD displays and diodes, as well as transmit radio signals once it generated power has been stored. Dr. Zonglin Wang of the Georgia Institute of Technology said that this development represents a milestone towards producing portable electronics that can be powered by body movements without the use of batteries or electrical outlets. Yeah, the Army's already using these in their suits for soldiers. Our nano generators are poised to change lives in the future. Their potential is only limited by one's imagination. The latest device is thousands of times more powerful than its predecessors, allowing scientists to take the technology out of the lab for the first time. Dr. Wang said if we can sustain the rate of improvement, the nano generator may find a broad range of other applications that require more power. The technology works by using zinc oxide nanowires, which generate electricity when strained or flexed. This means virtually any body movement, from walking to a heartbeat, can generate power. Dr. Wang's team worked to capture and combine the power of millions of nanowires, which are so small that 500 could fit in a human hair. Additional nanowires and more nanogenerators stacked together could produce enough energy for powering larger electronics such as an iPod or charging a cell phone. So that's what they want. They want us to power everything that we use from the bioelectric energy systems of our body. Which, of course, is the first precursor to being able to use that same energy that your body produces to power the machines that will then be, a part of your natural carbon-based system. That's what this is setting the stage for. And, I understand there are a lot of people out there who, have disabilities and things like that, and they see a lot of this transhumanist type stuff as a breakthrough for them. People have disabilities or paralyzed or whatever have you. And I understand that, but it doesn't make me like it anymore, and it's not going to make me fight it any less. Just because you have a friend or a family member or a loved one or a child or something else that, may benefit from these transhumanists merging with machine technologies, is not going to make me support it or like it anymore. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's just not. You can call me an asshole, whatever you want to call me, blah, blah, blah. Oh, you're so insensitive. I don't give a fuck. Really is no consequence of me that it's going to make someone or somebody's life better, because the fucking bad far outweighs the good when it comes to this stuff. But that's how they're going to get us. You understand? They're going to sell us on this through, well, you're just a party pooper. You're a funny dud. You're if you don't like it, you're just an asshole because you don't want to change people's lives and make them better. No. We don't want to merge with machines, you cocksuckers. That's what we don't want to do. Understand? Jeez fucking Louise. Got an email here from James. James says, who the fuck was playing right before the show? That was hysterical. Peace, love, and hard liquor. Yeah, baby. Peace, love, and hard liquor. Mm-hmm. I got me a case of party liquor and a case of potted meat. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, that's Unknown Henson, by the way. He's the king of the country western troubadours. He's a vampire rockabilly country singer. Hank Williams III has a tattoo of him on himself. Yeah, he's crazy. He does a voice of Early Kyler on the show Squidbillies. Anyway, it's good fun stuff, and it needs a hell of a guitar player. So yeah, there you go. Unknown Henson. Hinson. That's how you spell it. So hope that helps you out there. GlobalRealityShow@gmail.com. If you've got any emails tonight, anything you'd like to hear me discuss as well here. I've talked about how the shifting of the old order into the new order. I talked about that a bit on Lee's show, and that is essentially what this is all about. The moves that they're making to destabilize the Middle East and why we're in a huge economic downturn are all one and the same. Because they want to be able to set OPEC to have the ability to be able to trade oil in currencies other than the dollar. And so that's what this is all about, but they're milking it dry. Saudi Arabia's milking this shit dry before it comes to fruition, and they're using all this stuff in Libya and Egypt as the pretext for all these high gas prices. This is from the Financial Times of London. OPEC set to bring in 1,000 billion. Yes, you heard me right. 1,000 billion. $1 trillion in revenues this year for 2011 alone. My God. OPEC, the oil producers cartel, will reap 1,000 billion, $1 trillion in export revenues this year for the first time if crude prices remain above $100 a barrel, according to the International Energy Agency. The cartel has been one of the main beneficiaries of high oil prices, which have soared in recent weeks amid the civil uprisings in the Middle East and North Africa. So again, all of this happening by design. They're going to, because Saudi Arabia supposedly is running out of oil, and that's why they're causing all this destabilization stuff. They're going to milk it dry, and then they're going to move on to Venezuela, and we'll see wars down there and other shit like that first. We're going to take care of the Middle East first, and then they'll move on to there. It's all part of the plan. They've laid this out for years. Google plans payment system that turns smartphones into credit cards. This is from the Daily Mail. It brings a whole new meaning to the term payphone, and you won't need a pocket full of change to make it work, but Google has masterminded a mobile phone that doubles as a wallet. I mean, this is, here it is. Your digital credit system is here. Brought to you by who? Google. And brought to you by what? Your wonderful smartphone. God damn, I'm so glad I don't own a fucking phone. Ugh. I refuse to own one of those pieces of shit. Never owned one, never have, never will. Fuck it. I don't care. You need to get a hold of me? I'm on the internet. I'm not at home? I'll have a laptop with me. Every place has got a Wi-Fi hotspot now, right? Right. So I don't need a goddamn phone. I got a laptop. I got computers in my house. I don't need anything else. Fuck your phone. Fuck your national ID card. Fuck your smartphone. Fuck your quick cash. Fuck your magnetic strip. Fuck all of it. I don't need it. Thanks. Keep it. Shove it up your ass. You're welcome. It brings a whole new meaning to the term payphone. You won't need a pocket full of change to make it work, but Google has masterminded a mobile phone that doubles as a wallet. Instead of holding up checkout queues as customers rifle through their purses to find the right card, they will simply swipe their payphone past an electronic reader to pay. And experts claim it is safer. It is a safer method of payment than magnetic strip credit cards. Yeah, and it's more convenient for them because there's less processing involved. It's just, direct. Boom. There you go. And it's all traced in all your account. This is all everything that they want all of us to have. I bet before it's over with, they try to mandate we all have these smart device readers on us. I bet that's the first thing they do. Fucking national ID card. I bet they're going to mandate we all have these trackable digital low jack computers on us at all times by law. I bet they do. I bet they do that before it's over with. All they need is the right pretext. Hell, you saw what people did after 9/11. Oh, God, dude, we'll suck Satan's cock as long as you just keep us safe from Al Qaeda. I mean, they'll do anything. The web giant has teamed up with Citigroup and MasterCard. Oh, that's just great. To develop mobile payment systems specifically for the Android phone. They have also consulted Verifone Systems, which makes credit card readers for cash registers. He declined to comment on his company's relationship with Google. Yeah, I bet. They always want to decline. Oh, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and decline. So what is your relationship? You work for a credit card company, right? Then what is your relationship with Google? Why would a credit card company have a relationship with Google? Since Google is now the NSA and Echelon, and credit card companies being involved with these tracking systems is not anything that any of us should be comfortable with. But we just, oh, well, fuck it. It doesn't matter. They've got us anyway, right? Yeah. What else do we have here? I want to get through all this news here in the first segment so we can move on to reading from William Bramley's book tonight. I hear the next chapter is a long one, so I want to get straight into it tonight. I'm not going to move around. This is a good one right here. This is out of the Daily Mail as well. Brazilian twins mystery solved. Now, this is absolute. Oh, man, I haven't even read this article yet, okay? I want to make that crystal clear to you. I have not read this article yet, but I can tell you right now, this is utter and complete horseshit. Absolute horseshit. Brazilian twins mystery solved. It was a rogue gene. A rogue gene in the town's women, not the Nazi angel of death Mengele that caused the birth boom. Well, my goodness. I am so glad that the Daily Mail has succeeded where countless researchers have failed. Because the evidence doesn't matter. Why are they trying to poo-poo this now? It's been admitted that Mengele was down there doing those tests. I find it interesting that they're coming out trying to debunk this now after I had come out with my Reality of Illusion series on Julian Assange being one of these boys from Brazil, Mengele test tube white brotherhood children. Now they come out and say, oh, it was a rogue gene down there. Yeah. Okay. To his Brazilian patients, Rudolf Weiss, a gray-haired and bewhiskered man in his 50s, was seen as the very model of a kindly and urbane doctor. But to the inmates of Auschwitz, Joseph Mengele, his real name, was known as the Angel of Death, responsible for up to 400,000 deaths and sickening medical experiments. Years later, he had left Candido Godoy. Residents of the small farming community also learned the terrifying truth that the Nazi had lived in their midst. Then came the strange boom in the area's twin numbers. That Mengele had a particular fascination with the town's pregnant women couldn't be coincidence, could it? For years, this speculation and others, such as whether it was something mysterious in the water, were considered possibilities. Now, however, scientists say they have found the truth. Oh, well, I'm just waiting with bated breath to hear this one. Ursula Matti, a geneticist in Porto Alegre, Brazil, said a series of DNA tests conducted on about 30 families since 2009 found that a specific gene appears in those mothers in the Candido Godoy who have born twins. The phenomenon is compounded by a high level of inbreeding between the population, which is composed almost entirely of German-speaking immigrants. We analyzed 6 genes and found one gene that confirms in this population a predisposition to the birth of twins. So they've got it all wrapped up now. So they found a gene that makes. Oh yeah, but Mengele couldn't have put that gene there artificially. They don't mention that at all. This is horseshit. This is some of the worst, shittiest fucking journalism I've ever seen in my life. They just ignore all of the facts that we have and move on to say, oh, it was just a rogue gene. Okay, let's move on. I mean, what a pathetic attempt at trying to, oh, no, nothing to see here. Move along. Mengele didn't cause a boom in twins down there. He wasn't trying to reseed the Aryans out of South America. No, nothing to see here. Move along. You want proof that was going on? You should watch the movie The Boys from Brazil. Very telling movie there. Gregory Peck as Mengele. Oh, you can't beat it. Also, Steve Guttenberg from Police Academy fame. Oh, yeah. Gets called a dirty Jew and gets killed. Oh, that's greatness. Here's a no shit article for you. Humans arrived in North America 2,500 years earlier than thought. Ha ha ha, no shit. Stone tools have been found in sediments 15,500 years old before the Clovis people were thought to have arrived in America. Humans first arrived in North America more than 2,500 years earlier than previously thought, according to the analysis of ancient stone tools found in Texas. Well, that's interesting. It was found in Texas. The ancient rock wall. Yeah. I got news for you, Bubba. There were people here. We have proof there were people here 500,000 years ago. So your little 2,500 year number, you can shove right back up the place where it originated from, your ass. I mean, an iron wheel, a metal wheel that was made out of iron, tin, 4 or 5 different metals smelted together, a composite. I held that in my hand. It was found embedded in the ancient rock wall. I held it. It's anywhere from 250,000 to 500,000 years old. So I've held things in my hand, folks, that add a zero, a couple of zeros to this little number here. Humans first arrived in North America more than 2,500 years earlier than previously thought, according to analysis of ancient stone tools found in Texas. And the people who left them appear to have developed a portable toolkit used for killing and preparing meat. Researchers found a haul of thousands of artifacts near the state capitol in Austin, some of which were identified as blades and other tools. The material was buried in sediments that are between 13,200 and 15,500 years old. Until now, the oldest evidence for human occupation in North America has come from the Clovis site in New Mexico. Clovis, New Mexico. Fuck that place. It's a pit of hell. That place is like something out of the fucking Twilight Zone. Ugh. Horrible, horrible place it is. It's like the whole town's like a movie set. Scientists think that these people came to North America around 13,000 years ago by crossing the Bering Land Bridge for Northeast Africa. Northeast Asia. From there, they are thought to have spread across the Northern and South American continents. There are problems with this story, however. Clovis-like tools known for their distinctive fluted points have never been found in northeastern Asia. And stone tools found in Alaska are too young and too different to be associated with Clovis. Michael Waters from the Texas A&M University led a team of researchers to study the Deborah L. Fredkin site in Texas, about 40 miles northwest of Austin. Buried underneath the layer of rock that has been associated with a time period for the Clovis humans, his team found more than 15,000 objects that indicated the presence of an older civilization. The discovery challenges us to rethink the early colonization of the Americas. There's no doubt these tools and weapons are human-made, and they date to about 15,500 years ago, making them the oldest artifacts found in both Texas and North America. Absolutely, positively false. I mean, they just totally discount the rock wall. Oh, that's a natural formation. Okay, those 3.5 stone blocks made of garnet with writing that's only been associated with ancient Mesoamerican sites. We just ignore that, huh? Yeah. Let's ask Congressman Ralph Hall about that. He's got the big motherfucker in his house. They just lie and lie and lie. Oh, here's another great one. This is you guys will like this one. Daily Mail just seems to be pumping out all these articles on this stuff. In light of our reading of William Bramley lately, listen to this. Why our babies are just like Neanderthals. Neanderthal brains were like modern human ones at birth, but developed differently as ours as they grew older. It was revealed today. Anthropologists were surprised to discover that the gray matter of our infant ancestors, who became extinct about 28,000 years ago, shared the same shape and size. Adult Neanderthal brains were less globular and more elongated than ours, and they also grew quicker and were slightly larger. Researchers suggest that this is because human brains spend the first 18 months developing more neural circuitry, helping them think. So again, that's just a very interesting article there, and a lot more proof and indicators that what things we already know, which is that we were tinkered with. And it's just beyond comprehension, beyond denying now, I'll tell you what. "100 bombs are washed up by the supermoon. Lunar phenomenon blamed as Second World War devices are detonated on Hampton Beach." You guys hear about this? For decades, it lay beneath the sea undisturbed by tide or time, but after 70 years, almost 100 Second World War bombs finally fulfilled their explosive destiny yesterday, thanks to the power of the supermoon. A Navy bomb disposal team detonated them after abnormal tides thought to be caused by the unusual proximity of the moon washed them up on a Southampton beach. The experts who were warned that more are still potentially deadly mortar bombs may yet to be uncovered were initially called in after the low tide revealed 6 near Calshot Activity Center, which runs canoeing and dinghy sailing lessons for adults and children. The water had receded so far that it uncovered the 70-year-old mortar shells, which were then pushed on shore as the tide came in. After imposing a 600-yard exclusion area and detonating them, the Navy team was shocked to see another 87 appear over the next 24 hours. I mean, there's just tons of these they're just in the ocean. They're just in the water. They're just there, unexploded munitions. What the fuck? I mean, the supermoon was like the big douche for the planet, wasn't it? Let's douche that shit out a little bit. Yeah, let's shake it up a little bit. Here you go. Douche that shit out of there. Douche those bombs and munitions out of there. Get that shit out of there. Yeah. Get all up in my crevices. Ooh, doggy, it's unbelievable stuff. You got this. Oh, check this out. Guy killed his wife. Makes me wonder what does it take for? I mean, is it just? I guess it's being married to somebody for fucking 50-something years. I guess you just snap. But 72-year-old man shoots his 69-year-old wife. Right? He tries to shoot her once and misses, and she says, "See, I told you can't do nothing right, dumb motherfucker. You can't even shoot. Can't do that right." Boom. Second one hits her in the chest, kills her, she drops dead instantly. Guy puts a gun to his head, tries to blow his own head off, right? Or puts it in his own chest. I mean, point blank, right? Squeezes the trigger, misses again. Oh, my God. Well, that's what you get for buying a Glock, you dumbass. 72 years of being on this planet didn't tell you that a Glock is a piece of shit handgun, now did it? That's what I'm telling you, man. Just because you're old don't mean you're wise. Not a 60-year-old fucking children running around out there. You know what I mean? My goodness. I think we are definitely going to give this guy douchebag of the week. Yes, sir. Douchebag of the week, my friend. That is you. 72-year-old man shoots his wife. And you can't shoot for shit. That's just too funny. Man, oh man, oh man. That I'm sorry, that this has got to be the funniest fucking story I've read all week. I'll just read it for you. With her final words before she was fatally shot, Elaine McCall needled her husband for missing with his first shot yesterday morning inside their Wakefield home. "You can't even shoot," she said, according to her husband, David McCall's reported statements to the police. The 72-year-old husband was charged with murder after hitting his wife with a second shot from the top of the stairs. His 69-year-old wife's body crumpled to the floor near the front door, shot in the chest, police said. David McCall walked to the kitchen, called 911, and then tried to shoot himself. But he missed again, grazing his chest through the sweatshirt. My goodness. Well, I know where you're going to be spending out your Geritol days at, Bubba. Oh, yeah. It ain't going to be in Key West. It ain't going to be with the blue hairs. You're going to be taking it up the ass from Bubba. And let me tell you something, son. Bubba don't miss. Oh, shit. All right, well, I'm going to take a break, and when we come back from this break, we are going to jump into reading William Bramley's Gods of Eden tonight. Can't wait. I know you're excited as I am, so stay with us. After this musical interlude, we shall be back. So this is your cue to go to the bathroom, take a break, get some coffee, do whatever you got to do before we get back into it. So stay with us, folks. Back here with you on the Global Reality, right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Thank you for being with us here tonight for this Moonbat edition of the broadcast. We're going to be getting into Chapter 12, The Jesus Ministry, in the book The Gods of Eden by William Bramley here for you tonight. So you definitely want to stick around, stay for that. Supposedly, this is a long chapter, so we'll get through as much of it as we can here tonight. I may even probably going to split it up a little bit. Probably going to read some, take a break, come back, read some more. We'll see what happens. But we're going to jump into this here now tonight in just a bit. Again, for those of you who may be tuning in later, or people that may be just listening to the show for the first time or finding us on Shoutcast or something of that nature, the website where this broadcast originates from is www.global theglobalreality.com. That's www.theglobalreality.com. And up there at the website, you have the listen links for the show. All the archive shows are tons of old archive shows going back for a very long time up there. It's also lots of old archives up on archive.org. If you go to archive.org and type in Josh Reeves Global Reality, you should come up with a lot of shows there from past shows that I've done going all the way back to, I think, 2008 on there. All my documentary films are up there as well. You can also buy copies of my documentary films, of the ones that I've released, 9/11 New World Rising, and also The Secret Right Volume 1. Those are up there as well. And when you buy copies of those, you get the hard copies, and they also goes to support and help everything else that we're doing. Also have music CDs up there by Delphi, Jamie Reeves, also from our band that we have collectively together, the Demigods. We have EPs up there. And that all goes towards helping us be able to get back and record in the studio and all that stuff as well. Please support our work. This was our fundraising week for the show. We had gotten a donation yesterday, which got us right at the amount we needed to pay the bills. But once we pay the bills, there's not going to be a lot left over for that. So please, if you can, use the donate button there. And if you didn't get to make a donation for this month to support us and you wanted to do that, but the chip-in banner was already filled up, then hey, use the donate button for that, and also use the chip-in banner there that's already there for the next bills. But just use the donate button for now if you'd like, and please support us. We're going to be left hardly with anything left this week after we pay the bills. So, and I've got more stuff I got to do. I got to get this new chat room going, and continuing to noodle away and work away on all-night editing sessions on the Secret Right Volume 2. So we don't have commercials and we don't have sponsors. We don't try to sell you anything else, folks. But we do need your support. And over the past several weeks, there's only been, 2 or 3 people keeping us alive. And it's only those 2 or 3 people. And those 2 or 3 more people need your help because the listenership now is a lot more than it was, but yet it's not reflecting how much we're bringing in. And that's a bad ratio. So please donate and support our work if you can, folks. And we are going to continue to push forward and try to grow this thing into something big and powerful. But we can't do it, unfortunately, without those goddamn Federal Reserve notes. So I hate it as much as you do, believe me. All right, chapter 12 here, the Jesus ministry. The story most people know of Jesus is told in the New Testament. The New Testament, like much of the Old Testament, is in many places a greatly altered version of the original accounts on which it is based. In addition, probably less than 5% of all that Jesus and his original followers had taught are found in the Bible. Many of the changes and deletions to the New Testament were made by special church councils. The editing process began as early as 325 AD during the First Council of Nicaea and continued well into the 12th century. For example, the Second Church Council of Constantinople in 553 AD deleted from the Bible Jesus' references to reincarnation. That's absolutely true. An important concept to Jesus and his early followers. What's interesting about that is that's really the smoking gun evidence that there was no difference between Enki or Ea and Jesus and Buddha and Muhammad and all this stuff. But deleting that doesn't give us the context to understand that, as we had talked about earlier in the reading here of the book, that Ea had been banished to reincarnate in these fragile human bodies, and in every successive regeneration appeared as a messianic deity trying to teach mankind who and what we are and where we came from, what our destiny is, what our power is. And then the priest would take that and corrupt it and turn it into religion, and then you lose the context and the meaning and everything else, and what you wind up with is a control mechanism. Later, the Lateran councils of the 12th century added a tenet to the Bible that was never taught by Jesus, the concept of the Holy Trinity. Well, that goes back to even pre-Babylonian. The idea of the Holy Trinity goes back to pre-Babylonian, Mesopotamian, Sumerian priest class stuff. That's where that came from. So since these modern day people in the Council of Nicaea and Constantinople and all this other stuff were the extensions of the original formation of that priest class, of course, that's why you started bringing in the Holy Trinity, because the Father, Son, the Holy Ghost started out as Isis, Osiris, and Horus. The Christian church did not limit itself to changing a few ideas. It also rejected entire books. The church destroyed many documents and records which contradicted the radical changes that were made to Christian doctrine by these councils. Fortunately, the original writings which survived the editing process still offer valuable clues and insights into the life of Jesus. Many writings rejected by the church councils found their way into a book known as the Apocrypha. The Apocrypha consists of writings which were adjudged to be of dubious origin or quality by the church. Some of the material was rightfully rejected. Other apocryphal works, however, were omitted simply because they contradicted the official church version of Jesus' life on several crucial details. These are details which, if carefully researched, would offer a somewhat different outlook on the life of Jesus from one presented in the authorized Bible. According to the Apocrypha, the story of Jesus begins with his maternal grandparents, Joachim and Anna. Joachim was said to be a priest in a Hebrew temple. Joachim and Anna were happily married, except for one problem. They had not been able to produce any children. This was a source of embarrassment to them, and bearing children, especially sons, was quite important in that era. One day, Joachim was standing along in the fields when an angel appeared. The angel was described as giving off a tremendous amount of light and striking fear into Joachim by its appearance. The angel canned him and told him not to be ashamed any longer because an angel would cause Anna to become pregnant. The only stipulation for this honor was that he and his wife must surrender their child to be raised by the priests and angels at a temple in Jerusalem. Everything went according to plan. At the age of 3, Joachim and Anna's little girl, Mary, was taken to the temple and left there. Mary was a beautiful child who remained devoted to the priests and angels for about the next 11 years. When Mary and her peers in the temple became 12 or 14 years of age, it was for them time to go back out into the world and get married. Mary was not free to pick her own husband, however. Her mentors chose one for her. Right. This was a bloodline move. This was where this whole idea of the Merovingians and all this stuff came from. This was a pre-chosen. They put Mary and they put these people together because of their bloodlines, folks. The mate picked for Mary was a very old man by the name of Joseph. Joseph did not agree at first to the marriage because he was quite old and had already had children of his own. After efforts were made to change his mind, Joseph consented to the match and went to his home in Bethlehem to prepare his house for his new wife. Mary went to the home of her parents, Joachim and Anna, in Galilee to make herself ready. While Mary was in Galilee, an angel named Gabriel appeared before her, announcing that she would give birth to the new Messiah. Mary was confused. She said, "How can that be? For seeing according to my vow of chastity, I have never had sexual contact with any man. How can I bear a child without the addition of a man's seed?" To this, the angel replied and said, "Think not, Mary, that you will conceive in the ordinary way." Yeah. They fucking artificially inseminated her, dude. With the Anunnaki seed. That's what they did, dude. They fucking gave her an artificial insemination with Anunnaki seed. Here. For without sleeping with a man while a virgin, you will conceive, and while a virgin, you will give milk from your breasts. Well, that's fucked up. Jesus Christ. Poor girl's lactating. She hadn't even had her cherry popped yet. That's fucked up. For the Holy Ghost will come upon you, and the power of the Most High will overshadow you without any of the heat of lust. What? So she's going to get horny without, like, getting wet? That's fucked up. So that to which you will give birth will be only holy, because it is conceived without sin, and being born shall be called the Son of God. Then Mary, stretching forth her hands and lifting her eyes to heaven, said, "Take notice of the handmaid of the Lord. Let it be done to me what you have said." My God, the Bible is porno-fucking graphic. Straight up. Several researchers believe that stories of virgin births may be based upon instances of artificial insemination. Oh, you think? What was your first clue there, bucko? Virgin birth means that only only that the woman did not become impregnated by a man, but was caused instead to bear a child through the action of an angel. If we consider that many New Testament angels are custodians, artificial insemination becomes a distinct possibility. The above conversation between Mary and her quote-unquote angel expresses a strong moral and spiritual belief connected to the act of conception. Impregnated by an angel was deemed holy and desirable. But conception by human means was often considered sin. Right, so if the Anunnaki sticks their plastic cock in your vagina and artificially inseminates you, it's not a sin. But if somebody puts their penis in you and you're not married, it's a sin. Yeah. See, obviously we've been controlled by some fucked up individuals since day one. You know what I mean? Come on. I started watching that movie, what is it? The L. Ron Hubbard, sci-fi movie with Battlefield Earth. I started watching that last night. I didn't make it all the way through it, but I had never seen it before, and somebody in the chat room was talking about it last night. It's pretty unbelievable the how. I mean, obviously, L. Ron Hubbard had a knowledge of custodial societies and the Anunnaki and the rest of that stuff. I've never done the research into that to see when that script was written or the book was written or anything else, and see if it was before or after translations by the Sumerian text were done. But I got to tell you, knowing what we already know about L. Ron Hubbard and Frater H. and his association with Crowley and Jack Parsons and all the rest of that stuff. Boy, it's in that movie, you know, because they call them man animals, you know. It's amazing. A lot of different correlations that I see in that really reflect a lot of this information from that movie. I haven't seen it all yet, but I just remember hearing it was a horrible movie, so I never watched it. But somebody in the chat room was talking about it last night, so I was like, hey, you know, I'll watch it, give it a spin, see what happens. To someone engaging in artificial insemination, there would be a practical reason for creating such a distinction. Artificial insemination helps guarantee control over the physical characteristics of a future baby, something that cannot be assured in random human mating. By artificially inseminating 2 or more generations in a row, the purity of the final product is greatly increased. This is practiced today by animal breeders who closely control the insemination and breeding of livestock from generation to generation in order to bring forth better and purer animals. In this respect, it is significant that the human offspring of alleged virgin births were often described as physically unflawed and unusually beautiful in appearance. While some of this flattery was no doubt due to the tendency of followers to view their religious leaders in the best possible light, the stories of angel-induced pregnancies over consecutive generations, such as the tale surrounding Jesus, would strongly suggest a breeding effort. This discussion is not meant to cast disrespect on the personality of Jesus by suggesting that his body was bred like a cow, but that is the picture that emerges. The disdain expressed to priests by biblical angels for the human method of conception was apparently based upon the mere practical concerns to ensure good breeding. But it was nevertheless taken to heart by early priests and became a major element of many monotheistic religions in biblical days. Human beings were also heavily propagandized as very sinful to justify the barbaric treatment of humans suffered at the hands of their custodial gods and angels. By extending this concept of sinfulness to the human method of procreation, every person conceived through human sexual intercourse was to be considered born in sin, and therefore spiritually condemned. What a frightful dilemma this created. Every time a man and woman conceived and gave birth to a child, they had been condemned as a spiritual being. Yet the human drives which produce children are strong. The religious teaching of automatic spiritual condemnation because of human procreation generated a powerful conflict between the drive for spiritual freedom and the physical drive to reproduce. The result was intense anxiety over the subject of sex, and an increase in non-procreative sexual activities such as homosexuality, autoeroticism, non-procreative forms of intercourse, pornography, voyeurism, and abortion. The irony in this is clear. Those religions which have most strongly condemned the inherent sin in all human beings have also been those which have most vocally opposed non-procreative sex. These teachings had another important effect They help reduce human resistance to engaging in war. It is easier for a religious person to kill someone if he believes that the victim is inherently sinful. Fortunately, most people today no longer believe that human conception is innately sinful, including most clergy. If anything, giving birth to children is seen as an event of happiness, and that is as it should be. Despite this, we still find some of the old age ideas lingering. A number of philosophers, psychiatrists, religious leaders, and sociologists continue to proclaim that human beings are inherently bad or evil. Be it on a religious or scientific grounds, this contributes little to our culture except to keep sexual anxiety and warfare alive. Exactly, that's the whole point. That's why the custodians did that. After Mary's experience with the angel, Joseph traveled from his home in Bethlehem to pick up Mary in Galilee. To his chagrin, Joseph discovered that his young bride was already several months pregnant. Thinking that Mary had become a whore, Joseph made preparations to abandon her. An angel intervened and convinced Joseph that Mary was still a virgin. I get that. Well, you know what I'm saying? Come on, fellas. Guys, back me up on this. You show up and your chick's 2 months pregnant and you think she's a virgin, it's going to take a goddamn angel to convince you otherwise. Give me a fucking break. Yeah, you goddamn right. Motherfucker better appear in front of me flapping his goddamn wings and shit, and his story better be good. Oh, it's too funny. It's the idea of this, and this is the Bible and all this. This is so great. I mean, we put such importance on this. And I'm not saying it is important for what it is and what we can learn from it, but still, though, it's just, I was like, my God. This is no different than any soap opera that you might watch on any network TV, is it? I mean, it's really not. But wait. Don't go anywhere, buddy. Here, let me tell you something. Come here. Look, see those wings? Yeah, I'm a motherfucking angel. Sit down. You ain't going to believe this shit. All right, here we go. All right, so we got her pregnant because we got this Messiah coming in, right? And he needed a body. But the vajayjay is still nice and it's good and tight in there for you. Yeah, no. They didn't pop the cherry, dude. That's all you, bro. You got this. Go on, get it, man. See, look. You need to look at my wings again. Look. See my wings? Yeah, I'm an angel, dude. Look, check it out. No shit. Joseph stayed with Mary in Galilee until her ninth month of pregnancy. In the 9th month, Joseph and Mary set off for Joseph's home in Bethlehem to have the child there. According to the Apocrypha, the couple did not reach Joseph's home in time. Mary went into labor near the outskirts of Bethlehem, and a shelter had to be located. Oh, I couldn't tell where this book was. There we go. Kind of a weird hangover. And shelter had to be located for her immediately. What they found was a cave, and in that cave, young Jesus was born. And when they came by the cave, Mary confessed to Joseph that her time of giving birth had come. And she could not go on to the city and said, "Let us go into this cave." At that time, the sun was nearly down. But Joseph hurried away so that he might fetch her a midwife. And when he saw an old Hebrew woman who was from Jerusalem, he said to her, "Please come here, good woman, and go into that cave, and you will see a woman just ready to give birth." It was after sunset when the old woman and Joseph reached the cave, and they both went into it. And look, it was all filled with lights, greater than the lights of lamps and candles, and greater than the light of the sun itself. The infant was then wrapped up in a swaddling clothes and suckling the breast of its mother. Oh, yeah, there's lights everywhere. Yeah, I wonder why. There's aliens fucking everywhere. The unusual lights in the cave indicate to some people the existence of a high-tech lighting of some sort. This may not be surprising. Yeah, they were in there filming it, right? Isn't that what some people believe? There was the lights were fucking time travelers. They were back in time. They had their lights set up, and they were in there filming the birth of Jesus and stuff like that. Hasn't that been put in sci-fi before? I remember where I seen that at. This may not be surprising when we discover that other apparent high-tech phenomena surrounded the birth of Jesus, such as the so-called Star of Bethlehem. Nearly everyone in the Christian world knows the tale of the 3 wise men who followed a bright star to the baby Jesus in Bethlehem. Most Christians believe that this unusual star known as the Star of Bethlehem was supernatural in origin, a creation of God. Some scientists, if they have not dismissed the story as a religious myth, believe the star to have been Halley's Comet making a low pass over Earth or a rare alignment of Venus and a brighter star. Several UFO writers, on the other hand, assert that the Star of Bethlehem was an aircraft which led 3 wise men from their homes in Persia to Bethlehem in the same fashion that Moses and the Hebrew tribes had been guided by an airborne Jehovah earlier in history. Surprisingly, the Apocrypha itself best supports the UFO theory. An apocryphal book, wait a second here. Well, that's balls. My PDF is missing page 126. I guess I'll just have to continue on 127 then. That sucks. After leading the 3 wise men to Jesus' birthplace, the remarkably intelligent star accompanied them home again. If it is true that Jesus was born in a cave, why would the writer of Luke and other early church leaders claim that Jesus' first bed was a manger? If the intention of those who backed Jesus to proclaim him the Hebrew Messiah, for that assertion to be true, they needed to prove that Jesus was a direct descendant of the Hebrew King David. Such a lineage was required by the Hebrew prophecies. Yeah, you know, and I've heard that all of the PDFs that are online, I need to get a real copy of this. Next time I get a donation, I get some extra money, I'll buy. Yeah, I should buy another copy of this because I've heard that there are of all the PDFs of this book that are online, there's stuff missing from them, and I don't like that one bit because it seems like, you know, especially when we start talking about the Jesus stuff. And, you know, all the PDFs online. See, this is the shit that that scares me about this whole digital reader, doing away with books, burning books, Fahrenheit 454, fucking 451 fucking bullshit. You know, because this is the type of stuff that's going to happen. They're just going to conveniently rip pages out of books, and the only ones that'll ever be online are digital copies that have certain chapters missing. I don't like this. A number of religious historians, however, have concluded that Jesus belonged to a Hebrew religious sect known as the Essenes. Joachim, Anna, and Mary may have all been members of these temples. The cave birth would tend to reinforce the conclusion that because the Essenes were well known for using caves as shelters and hospices, if Jesus was one, he could not have been a descendant of King David. This is why. The Essenes were outwardly Jewish, but they also studied the Zend-Avesta of the Zoroastrian religion and reportedly practiced Arianism. This would explain the visit to the 3 Persian wise men to the baby Jesus in Bethlehem. It further appears that being Aryan was a requirement to becoming an Essene. Jesus himself was white-skinned and red-headed. Yeah, kind of like me, motherfucker. Because of the racial prerequisite to becoming an Essene, no true Essene would have been a direct descendant of King David because the Hebrew tribes had a different lineage. Much of what we know today about the Essenes comes from a famous mid-20th century archaeological discovery, the Dead Sea Scrolls. The scrolls are a library of very old documents dating from the 1st century AD. They were written by members of an Essene community and hidden by them in caves near the Dead Sea. The scrolls were discovered in 1947 by a young Bedouin tribesman. According to the historian John Allegro, who analyzes the scrolls in the book The People of the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Essenes had many characteristics of a secret society. For example, a person's admission into the Essene order was accomplished only after several years' probation. The Essenes practiced initiation rituals in which they swore to never divulge their secret teachings. They also held confidential confidential the names of angels said to be living among the Essenes in their closed communities. The priests often called themselves the sons of Zadok, after their high priest Zadok, who served in the Temple of Solomon. In light of these discoveries, it is not surprising that several Brotherhood branches had claimed long before the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls that the Essene organization was a branch of the Brotherhood in Palestine. Perhaps the Brotherhood's most important offshoot in that region. Albert Mackey's History of Freemasonry, published in 1898, confirms this by reporting that the Essenes had a symbol of degrees and used a symbolic apron. There is much evidence that Jesus remained an Essene throughout his adult life. Historian Will Durant, writing his work Caesar and Christ, The Story of Civilization, Part 3, points out that the Essenes were the only sect with a Jewish tradition that did not oppose Jesus' early attempts at religious innovation. Of the three major Hebrew sects existing in Palestine at that time, Jesus condemned only the Pharisees and the Sadducees for their vices and hypocrisy, not the Essenes. The Essenes and Christians shared many traits in common. They held similar beliefs about living in the last days, shared common meals, owned property communally, and engaged in ritual baths and baptisms, and had some organizational points in common. Remarkable similarities between several Dead Sea Scroll doctrines and New Testament writings have also been noted. Historians point to Jesus' close personal friendship to John the Baptist. Many baptismal and ascetic practices of the Essenes were shared by John. While John did differ in other respects from what we know today of standard Essene practices, the similarities are strong enough to suggest that John was himself an Essene. Finally, we have the active presence of angels reportedly guiding both the Essenes and Jesus' ministry. Despite the strong evidence, some theologians still dispute that Jesus was an Essene. Their objections are based primarily on the fact that many of Jesus' teachings contradicted their ways. There was a good reason for that contradiction. Jesus, though he was one, had come into contact with the Indian Maverick movement and as a result had become a rebellious maverick himself. He tried to forge ahead with a religious philosophy which was often at times at odds with his teachings, and he would suffer for it. Most of the New Testament information about Jesus' life covers only the 3 years immediately prior to his crucifixion. Those were the years of Jesus' public ministry. During that time, Jesus did not live out inside the Essene communities for the simple reason that he was engaged in a traveling ministry which would occupy him until his crucifixion. Every Essene was given or created for himself a calling or life's goal to pursue. Jesus pursued his as a teacher on the road. In both the New Testament and the Apocrypha, the life of Jesus seems to be fairly well covered up until about the age of 5 or 6. Then abruptly there is a complete void of information about where Jesus went or what he did. We find in the New Testament one episode of Jesus appearing before Hebrew scholars at the age of 12, followed by an 18-year silence in which Jesus' activities are unaccounted for. Suddenly, at about the age of 30, Jesus reemerged and launched his short and tumultuous religious career. Where had Jesus gone and what had he done during the unknown years? Most Christians believe that Jesus spent his years in young adulthood working for his father as a carpenter. No doubt Jesus did occasionally visit his father and learn carpentry on those visits. Many historians, however, feel that there was much more happening in Jesus' life and that they have tried to discover what else Jesus might have done during those critical years when his thoughts, personality, and motives were developing. Well, he was in the mystery schools. He was in the getting mystery teachings, obviously. Jesus was being intensively trained for his future religious role. It was common for Essene boys to enter a monastery at about an age of 5 to begin their educations. This would account for Jesus' sudden disappearance from history at that age. Some researchers believe that he was brought up and educated in the community above Hafia by the Mediterranean Sea. He apparently remained there until in his teens, and at the age of 12, he made a trip to Jerusalem in preparation for his bar mitzvah the following year. It was during that trip that Jesus had the debate with Hebrew scholars. Jesus then vanished from history again. Note now, where did he go? And we will answer that question. We'll continue on here reading in just a bit. We're going to take a break. come back, and when we get back from this break, we're going to read more here out of William Bramley's The Gods of Eden for you, and I hope you're enjoying this. I know I sure am. Stick around. This is the Global Reality right here for you on the Global Reality Radio Network with me, your host, Josh Reeves. We'll be back here. All right, back here with you on the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Thank you for being with us here tonight for the broadcast. And we're going to be continuing on our reading here tonight on the show. Glad you could join us, and glad everybody out there is enjoying the reading. I've been getting so many comments and just emails and stuff about this reading, and everybody enjoying it. So, well, thank you. I'm glad you are enjoying it, because that's, if you're not getting something out of it, then I certainly shouldn't be up here wasting my breath and my time reading it. But so that's good to know that you guys are doing that. So let's get back into this now, where we left off here. Several years ago, the last question before the break there, now where did Jesus go? So that's where we're picking up now. Several years ago, I happened to see an intriguing film documentary by Richard Bach entitled The Lost Years. This film regularly shows up on local American television stations around Christmas and Easter. It's well worth watching. The film suggests that Jesus journeyed to Asia, where he spent his teens and early adulthood studying the religions practiced there. One source from the filmmaker drew this remarkable conclusion, was the legend of Issa, a very old Buddhist document purportedly discovered in the Hemi Monastery of India by Russian traveler Nicholas Notovich in 1887. Notovich published his translation of the Buddhist legend in 1890 in his book, The Unknown Life of Jesus. According to the Buddhist legend uncovered by Notovich, a remarkable young man named Issa had departed for Asia at the age of 13. Issa studied under several religious masters of the East, did some preaching of his own, and returned to Palestine 16 years later at the age of 29. The significant parallels between the lives of Issa and Jesus have led to the conclusion that Issa was in fact Jesus. If true, such a journey would certainly be omitted from the Bible because it contradicts the idea that Jesus had achieved spiritual enlightenment solely by divine inspiration. If Jesus was an Essene and he traveled to Asia under Essene sponsorship, and if they indeed followed an Aryan tradition, we would expect Jesus to be sent to study under the Aryan Brahmins of the Indian subcontinent. According to the legend of Issa, that is precisely what happened. In his 14th year, young Issa, the Blessed One, came this side of Sindh, the province in western Pakistan, and settled among the Aryans. Upon Jesus' arrival, the whole white priests of Brahman welcomed him welcomed him joyfully, and taught him, among other things, to read and understand the Vedas. Now, that's an interesting thing, the Vedas. The Vedas themselves, very hard to get your hands on and stuff. I mean, it's basically, science fiction. Well, if Jesus understood and learned the Vedas, that means that part of his quote-unquote spiritual teaching involved learning the history of the extraterrestrial custodians. So that right there should tell you where the entire idea of Christianity and the rest of this stuff originally spawned from, as we know all religions did, from these custodial masters. To keep us controllable, to keep us slaves, to keep us dumbed down. And guess what? The same people are running the show today. This joyful reception quickly turned sour, however, because Jesus had insisted upon associating with the lower castes. That led to friction between the young, headstrong Jesus and his Brahmin hosts, according to the legend. But the Brahmins and I don't know how to say that word, Kshatriyas? Yeah, the Kshatriyas. But the Brahmins and the Kshatriyas, members of the military caste, told him that they were forbidden by the great Para Brahma, the Hindu god, to come near those who were created from his belly and his feet. The mythical origin of the lower caste. Yeah, I mean, that's code for genetic manipulation right there. But the Vaisyas and members of the merchant and agriculture caste might only hear the recital of the Vedas, and this only on the festival days, and that the Sudras were not only forbidden to attend the readings of the Vedas, but even to look on them, for they were condemned to perpetual servitude as slaves of the Brahmins, the Kayasthiras, and even the Vaishyas. But Issa, disregarding their words, remained with the Sudras, preaching against the Brahmins and others. He declaimed strongly against man's arrogating to himself the authority to deprive his fellow beings of their human and spiritual rights. Verily, he said, God has made no difference between his children, who are all alike dear to him. Issa denied the divine inspiration of the Vedas and the Puranas. The white priests and warriors were so angered that they sent servants to murder Jesus. Warned of the danger, Jesus fled to the holy city of Djagarat by night and escaped into Buddhist country. There he learned the Pali language and studied sacred Buddhist writings, and after 6 years, Jesus could perfectly expound the sacred Buddhist scrolls. The Issa legend has some remarkable implications. It portrays Jesus as a sincere and religious reformer who found himself turning against the custodial Aryan traditions in which he had been raised. His sympathies went instead to the maverick Buddhists. The Buddhist influence in Jesus' teachings are evident in the Bible, as in Jesus' Sermon on the Mount, which contains some philosophy strikingly similar to the Buddhism of his day. After 15 years or so in and about Asia, Jesus traveled back to Palestine via Persia, Greece, and Egypt. According to one tradition, Jesus was initiated into the higher ranks of the Brotherhood in the Egyptian city of Heliopolis. After completing that initiation, Jesus returned to Palestine, now a man of 29 or 30, and immediately upon his return, Jesus embarked on his own public ministry. The rift between him and his Aryan hosts in India did not at first seem to adversely affect his relationship to the Essene order. It did not take long, however, for trouble to erupt. He did not share the asceticism of his Essene brothers and downplayed the importance of ritualism for achieving spiritual salvation. Jesus was surrounded by Essene sponsors who strongly believed in the coming of a Messiah, and they were determined to have their investment Jesus proclaimed that new Messiah. Jesus forbade them to do so, and according to historian Will Durant, Jesus has repudiated all claim to Davidic descent, and for a long time forbade the disciples to call him the Messiah. Most historians attribute those actions to the political climate of the times. Palestine was under Roman occupation, and the Romans took a dim view of the Hebrew prophecies because of their political overtones. Jesus did not wish to run afoul of the Romans, or so the thinking goes. There is, however, a much better reason why Jesus did not want to be proclaimed the Hebrew Messiah. He knew that the proclamation was untrue, and he was being honest about it. He wanted to bring Palestine a genuine spiritual science of the type the Mavericks were still attempting in India. He therefore became a rebel inside of the very Brotherhood organization backing him. His greatest mistake was believing that he could use the channels of the corrupted Brotherhood network to spread a maverick religion, even if he had many close friends and loved ones in the Essene order. Jesus never had time to establish his maverick religious system because one of the Essene backers, and according to the Bible, even some custodial angels, quickly got him into trouble by proclaiming him the Messiah. It did not take the Romans and some Hebrew leaders long to arrest Jesus and put him on trial. The Hebrews objected to his unorthodox religious ideas, and the Romans his alleged political pretensions. A mere 3 years after beginning his ministry, Jesus was reportedly nailed to a cross. Although there is no evidence that Jesus did not die on the cross, but survived to live out the rest of his life in seclusion, the crucifixion ended his public ministry and paved the way for his name to be used to implant the very Judgment Day philosophies he had opposed. His problems cannot be blamed on his backers alone, however. Certainly, Jesus' own efforts contributed to his downfall. Despite his maverick leanings, Jesus was unable to entirely undo within himself a lifetime of indoctrination as an Essene. There is good biblical and apocryphal evidence that he tried to mix custodial dogma with maverick tenets. This will cause any honest attempt at spiritual reform to fail. The Bible also indicates that he taught some of his lessons through a system of mysteries. His only hope had been to break completely with the Essene order and its methods, but it is easy to understand why he had not done so. His life, family, and friends were too much a part of that organization. although he had a large enough following to invite attention, he did not preach long enough to enter the history books in his own time. His fame grew after the crucifixion when his disciples traveled far and wide to establish their new apocalyptic set. With the continued help of their custodial angels, Christian missionaries made Jesus a household name and created a powerful new faction that would further divide human beings into battling groups, same way they do today. The successful effort to make Jesus the figurehead of a new Judgment Day religion brought about the most famous apocalyptic writing in the Western world, the Revelation of St. John. This work, which is also known as the Book of Revelation or Apocalypse, is the last book of the New Testament. It leaves Christians with the same type of dire prophecy that the Hebrews had been left with at the end of the Old Testament and the coming of a great global catastrophe followed by a day of judgment. The book of Revelation is well worth taking a closer look at. So that's the end of chapter 12. The next chapter that we have to get into is chapter 13. It's entitled The Apocalypse of John. So that should make for an interesting reading. But I think we're going to leave it there tonight and not start a new chapter just because I like to start. I hate that sometimes I'll go in a new chapter and I'll start in the middle of it and then I pick up on the next show. But let's just go ahead and start the next show tomorrow with with a fresh start there on chapter 13. Should be good. It was good stuff there tonight. I mean, obviously a lot of this stuff we already know. But again, the whole point of reading this is so that we gain a better context of the whole system of control that surrounds us. And I know that you and I personally, all of us really have had a lot better understanding of just what it's taken to get us here and how these teachings have been corrupted, who put out these religions there in the first place, what purpose they served. And it's just so fascinating when you realize it's any of this information is just as relevant today as it was 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago. The same people are in charge. And we are but the modern day incarnation of the people that are seeking to rise up against evil. And all we ask for is our birthright. The knowledge that has been kept from us since day one, the knowledge that could lead humanity into a new day on this planet. And again, something about us, something about our potential scares these bastards so bad. And I believe that is the reason why we have to continue to push for this ancient knowledge, push for a better understanding of who we are, what we are, where we came from, what our destiny is. Because if you want a solution to the New World Order, I haven't found one more apt than that. And that is gaining the information of our true power, our true strength, what we're capable of, and that will be what defeats this evil tyrannical system that has found itself wrapped all around each and every one of us. Please support our work. The website is theglobalreality.com. That's www.theglobalreality.com. Use the chip and banner there for bills and everything else. That's the new chip and banner for next month. We also have the donate button. Just use the donate button for now. Don't you start using that really until after the first of the month. It would be great. But please support our work, folks. We have to pay the bills this week, and there's not a lot left after we do that. So I'm just asking you to donate. If you want to donate larger amounts towards the films, towards us buying new equipment, that's great too. We can grow and become big. The time is now. So please support us if you can, folks. And we need all the help we can get. My name is Josh Reeves. I love each and every one of you, and we will see you next time on the broadcast. You guys have a great night. Take care.